So in the midnight hours between Thursday and Friday morning, there has been a lot going on in the time of Jesus. It is his last day, essentially living, and the morning before his crucifixion. So after Passover, and I've done short videos explaining very shortly the essence of Passover and the celebration and the reinstatement of the Eucharist of die Nagmaal in Afrikaans. And in all these moments, instead of reading about a Jesus which is filled with life and has brand new zest, we see in this last week that he has been a bit stressed. He became upset, is the words that Mark uses, deeply upset. Luke explains it as the stress has been so bad that when he goes to pray, his sweat turned to blood. But see, there's a couple of things that happens in this Last Supper with his disciples. He is in Israel or in Jerusalem, and he's celebrating the Passover. Judas left to go and meet the company which would brutalize and attack Jesus, to arrest him as if he is a thug. Jesus takes his 3 closest companions. And you have to understand that these disciples have lived, breathed, eaten, locked down version of following Jesus around. They shared their space. They did not breach space. They did not get an escape from each other, or a day off, or a week away. They did not switch houses. So they were as close can get. And this is where it gets hurtful. Even as an onlooker, you can see in the story it heads down to brutal loneliness. See, Passover and Easter focuses on this pain for a little while. Not just focuses, acknowledges that pain exists. Jesus himself acknowledges these emotions, true loneliness. So he goes to Gethsemane after they've celebrated Passover and after they've had this beautiful meal. They're probably tired from all drinking and dining and chatting. But he takes his 3 closest companions, of which John and Peter are 2, and he asks them to keep an eye out and guard with him while he prays. And he walks away and he prays a bit and he begs the Lord to let this cup of treachery and suffering pass him, but if it's God's will, he will persevere, knowing full well that he will have to persevere. And he comes back to his disciples and they're asleep, and he wakes them up and he says, please stay awake and pray with me. And his disciples again falls asleep, and a 3rd time they fall asleep. By this time it is too late. The mob is gathering. Jesus is being attacked. He's being exiled to this absolute loneliness. His disciples running away. Peter reacting first with anger, and God rebuking him. Jesus telling him no. Peter chops off one of the mob's attackers' ears in defense. And then Jesus says, no, don't do this, Peter. And he picks up the ear and hy plak dit net terug op. And he heals the person, and still he is taken prisoner by them. Still, he's thrown into the courtyard of the high priest's house, where they question him with false witnesses, but their stories do not line up, so they cannot get a good witness against him. In the end, it is Jesus admitting his identity that gets him crucified, that gets him locked up, beaten, spat at. And all the while, Peter, his most vibrant and vigorous supporter, Peter himself denies Christ. So as the rooster cries at dawn, as the second rooster cries, 3 times Peter denies even knowing Christ. He just flat out lies. So in this time of lockdown, where we are in South Africa under extended lockdown for 2 more weeks, where people are feeling the strain and the distance, where beautiful loved ones cannot get to each other because they're not living together or they're not married, and where some of us are far away from our loved ones, some of us are alone, some of us are panicked because there's not enough health and medical supplies, where doctors are panicking, where people are afraid. Just know this: Jesus himself chose that route. He was so afraid and so stressed that his sweat turned to blood. We can hold out, because there is hope as the story unfolds. But in these midnight hours, a lot of Christians, along with myself, are staying up through the night and reading through the stories. And if you are reading Mark with us or with me, you are now at about chapter 16. Check out the Bible Project videos. Check out the details. Why is this important? Because if Jesus himself took a moment to acknowledge fear and acknowledge anxiety, acknowledge stress, acknowledge abandonment, then you and I can acknowledge it without fear as well, and without losing hope, even in these times. Stay home, stay safe. Hope you have a blessed Easter.